Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the House Appropriations Committee, Transportation and Environment Subcommittee. This is our decisions meeting, which will be followed by a short voting session. Before we begin, I want to thank all the subcommittee members. We're also joined today by our full committee chair, Chair McIntosh. Thank you, Madam Chair. And regarding our subcommittee members, I said it the other day in a subcommittee meeting, but Delegate Beitzel has been on the subcommittee since 2009. This will be his last decisions meeting, and we really appreciate his years of service, and over the last few years, at least, keeping me honest. And this will also be Delegate Lewis's last meeting, not quite as long tenured, but we appreciate your service with the subcommittee as well. And I also really want to thank all of our analysts, including the committee subcommittee coordinator, Steve McCulloch, Kelly Norton, Andrew Gray, Emily Haskell, Sam Quist, most of whom I think you'll probably hear from over the next few minutes. And of course, our committee staffer, Ken Weaver, who I know is busy right now with another subcommittee, but has done a great job for us all year. So with that, I think we should go ahead and get started with the decision document. I think, Steve, you'll be our tour guide.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. You should have a document in front of you entitled Decision Document. As was last year, this is a single document that includes all of the actions that DLS recommended in the budget analyses. It reflects the Senate actions that they took, including any language or narrative that they had adopted. And then it also includes color pages that have been requested by this subcommittee. And so the analysts will just it'll go from page order. There are some analysts and other committees that may pop in, but we're prepared to proceed even without them. So if you'd like, we can start on page 1. This is the Public Service Commission. There is a recommended committee narrative for a report on the status of reporting of availability of complaints filed against utilities. The agency concurred, the Senate adopted.
Our motion?
Concur. Motion.
Second. Great. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 2, for the Public Service Commission, again, committee narrative. This is for a report requesting a report on door-to-door sales and marketing activity by retail energy suppliers. The Senate adopted, and the agency didn't have a response on this one.
Move we concur.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 3 is the Office of People's Counsel. The recommendation was concur with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred. The Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Move we concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On pages 4 and 5, the Chesapeake Bay overview, restriction of funding for the agencies until the submission of historical and projected Chesapeake Bay restoration spending. The agency concurred in part, is willing to provide the report, but disagrees with the restriction of funding. The first house adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 7 is the Maryland Energy Administration. There's committee narrative requesting a report on revenue assumptions and use of the RGGI auction revenue. The agency concurred. The Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 8 is additional committee narrative requesting a report on the Maryland Gas Expansion Fund update. The agency concurred. The Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On the bottom of page 8 and the top of page 9 is a color page item requested by this committee. This would restrict half of the money from the gas settlement to be used only for arrearage assistance payments in a DHR. This is the same type of action that was taken last year on the budget.
Move to concur.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead, Delegate Beitzel.
So this action was taken last year, and this is identical to what we did last year.
Actually, I believe last year we restricted more.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm fine. Thanks.
Move and second.
So I'm sorry, Delegate Lewis moved it. Did someone second it?
Last year's moved it. I seconded it.
Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Would anybody like to be recorded in the negative? Next item.
On page 10 is Department of Planning. First recommendation, only recommendation is for Maryland Semi-Quincentennial Commission funding report. The agency concurred and the first house adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 11, we have the Maryland Automobile Insurance Fund. DLS made no actions because non-budgeted. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted. We have a color page item for committee narrative about incentive compensation for the uninsured and insured divisions at the agency.
So it's moved to adopt then?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 12, we have the Maryland Insurance Administration. DLS recommended concurring with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 13 is the Lottery and Gaming Control Agency. The recommendation was to concur with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred, the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Move to concur. Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 14 begins the Maryland Department of Transportation. First item is annual language requiring notification for change in the capital program. The agency concurred, the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On the bottom of page 15, the second item is annual language establishing a position cap for the department. The agency concurred, the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
Turning on page 17 is the Secretary's Office. The first item is annual language restricting funding for grants to the amount budgeted. The agency concurred, the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 18 for this Office of the Secretary Pago, annual language requiring notification of changes to the capital program. Agency concurred, the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
WMATA on page 19, operating grant. The recommendation was to concur, the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
Is it too late to increase this? All in favor, please signify by saying aye with the
Aye.
concurrence.
Can I ask a question on that?
Oh, sure.
There's a bill pending for that. How's that going to affect this anyway?
It will not affect this at all. This is operating and it won't affect the capital.
Okay,
either.
all right.
The capital has an effective date
Thank
of 2028 and requires action in Virginia.
Thanks.
All in favor of the WMATA operating budget item, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
Page 20 is the WMATA capital budget. The recommendation was to concur. The agency concurred, the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On pages 20 and 21 for MDOT debt service, there are three pieces of annual language. 1 and 3 establish debt caps for the traditional debt and non-traditional debt. Item number 2 requests a report on non-traditional debt. The agency concurred with all three. The Senate adopted all three.
Move to concur all three.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
That takes us to page 24, which is the State Highway Administration operating. The recommendation was to concur with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred, the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 25 is SHA capital. The recommendation was to concur with the governor's allowance. The Senate adopted that. However, there is a color page, page 25. This first item would fence off $10 million to be used for the Route 5 reconstruction project at Great Mills in St. Mary's County.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Can we hope, go ahead. Can I be opposed to that?
Yeah, well, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Would anybody like to be recorded in the negative?
Yes.
Delegate Beitzel is nay. Delegate Metzger, you're good?
I'm good.
Next item.
And then color page item 2 on the bottom of page 25 is committee narrative requesting a report on installing suicide prevention barriers on a bridge.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 26, we had Maryland Port Administration. DLS recommended concurring with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur. Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 27 is Maryland Port Administration Paygo Capital. DLS recommended concurring with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 28, we had the Motor Vehicle Administration. DLS recommended committee narrative on the digital driver's license report. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 29, we had Motor Vehicle Administration Paygo Capital. DLS recommended concurring with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
Maryland Transit Administration begins on page 30. The recommendation was to concur with the allowance. However, the first house adopted some actions shown on page 31. The first action is requesting a report on paratransit late pickups, stating what the policies and procedures are. The Senate, again, this was a Senate action that they adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 32, the second item added by the Senate was language restricting funding pending a report on hiring and retention of difficult to fill positions. There is a color page on this that simply adds MTA should compare itself with peer agencies and surrounding jurisdictions. So I think you can hold on this item and deal with it in 2 pages.
Okay, let's hold it.
Takes on page 33. The third item added by the Senate was a report on cellular and broadband availability in transit stations and along transit alignments.
Move to
This was
concur.
added by the-
Move to concur all of them.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
And then on the bottom of page 33, going to the top of page 34 was narrative adopted by the Senate, stating intent that the MTA should provide technical assistance to a Baltimore area coalition of universities and colleges in developing a transit system to link all of the campuses.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
Okay, and then on page 34 is the color page item I referenced a moment ago. This is the same language adopted by the Senate that simply inserts the comparison with peer agencies in addition to the surrounding agencies. So with that,
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
on page 35, another color page item, it restricts funding, requesting monthly reports on the status of the Purple Line construction.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 36 is another color page item, which is a narrative requesting a report on light rail crossing safety in Lincoln, Maryland.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
Page 37 is MTA PAYGO. The recommendation was to concur with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred, the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 38, we have Maryland Aviation Administration, DLS recommended concurring with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred, the Senate rejected. They have an additional first house action on page 39.
Move to concur. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, sorry.
Well, Kelly, go ahead and briefly explain.
Go ahead, Mark, please.
They have added language restricting $150,000 until a report is received on the airport noise zone update. And the Senate adopted that.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 40, we have Maryland Aviation Administration Pay-Go Capital. DLS recommended concurring with the governor's allowance. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 41, we have Maryland Transportation Authority. DLS recommended committee narrative for a report on tolling concerns. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On 41 through 42, we have a color page item restricting funding of $125,000 for a performance audit of the Easy Pass program.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
And on page 43, we have the MDTA Pay-Go Capital. No action for recommended because it's non-budgeted. The agency concurred and the Senate adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 44 is Department of Natural Resources. First recommendation there is to restrict $100,000 until the submission of the Chesapeake and Coastal Bays 2010 Trust Fund Work Plan and Expenditure Plan. Agency disagreed, noting a funding restriction is unnecessary because the report will be provided. The first house adopted this action.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On the bottom of page 44, going on to page 45 is narrative on Chesapeake Bay restoration spending. Agency concurred and the first house adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 46 is the first of 3 color page items. This first one concerns female black bear population report due December 1, 2022.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
Bottom of page 46 on to page 47 is the second color page item. This restricts $750,000 until the report is submitted on natural resources, police hiring and retention and promotion.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Anyone opposed? Delegate Beitzel, anybody else? Okay, next item.
Bottom of page 47 on to page 48 is language restricting $100,000 until the submission of a report on the 16 state lakes.
So we want to withhold money from DNR for the state lakes. Is there a motion?
Move to adopt.
Second.
Why, question?
Sure.
Why are we holding the money?
This language about state lakes?
Yeah,
Right, so the restriction of the funding actually creates the requirement then for the agency to do the report or else they lose the funding. So they do the
Right.
report, the money's released.
move we adopt.
Should we scrap the item, Delegate Beitzel?
No, move we adopt. I just clarification purposes.
Okay.
Move we,
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
Page 49 starts the Department of Agriculture. DLS recommended concurring with the governor's allowance. The agency concur and the first house adopted. However, there is a color page item there on an integrated pest management in schools report.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 50 is the Department of the Environment. First recommendation there is to restrict $100,000 until the proper budgeting of prior year actual personnel expenditures. The agency disagreed, noting that they will require additional work to match federal expenditures to grants and may lead to billing errors. The first house adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 51 is an additional first house action by the Senate for the Department of the Environment to include a report on the reduction of state building operating costs and greenhouse gas emissions through district energy.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On page 52 are the color page items for the Maryland Department of the Environment. First, restricts $200,000 until the submission of the Maryland Used Tire Cleanup and Recycling Fund annual report. The report has not been consistently provided in recent years. The funding restriction definitely helps.
Mr. Chairman,
Second.
Mr. Vice Chair?
move to adopt.
I'm sorry, did someone have a question? Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
On the bottom of page 52 and onto page 53 and 54 is language that restricts funding the Maryland Department of the Environment and the Maryland Department of Agriculture until the submission of quarterly inspection positions, strength assessment, and vacant positions.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next item.
Page 55 is Maryland Environmental Service. DLS recommended a Maryland Environmental Service funding statement. The agency concurred in the first house adopted.
Move to concur.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? I believe that is the last item.
That
Mr.
was.
Chairman,
Yes,
I have
Delegate
a
Beitzel.
question. Was there going to be a color page on the Tundra Swan issue?
Yeah, as I explained this morning, we got a little time crunch there, but we're going to take care of it further along in the process.
All right. Thank you.
We don't need to, Steve, we don't need to like adopt the full report, do we?
Nope, we'll have your subcommittee report ready for report out on Friday, I believe is scheduled.
Great. Colleagues, we do have some additional bills to take up, so I'm going to transition to that now. The first bill, and you should have received information about this in your inboxes, I believe, yesterday. The first bill is HB 778 from Delegate Solomon. This is the Transportation Investment Program, MARC Rail Service, Maryland Regional Rail Transformation Act bill. It requires MTA to establish some individual investment programs to advance the MARC cornerstone plans and other MARC improvements as specified in the bill, and requires MTA to advance specified rail projects as part of the investment programs and conduct a MARC cornerstone plan implementation study. There are some amendments. Amendment 1 is technical. Amendment 2 expands the scope of a MARC study on a concept study, but removes a requirement for 30% design work for a third Brunswick track, which I'll just note was the big driver of the fiscal note. And also adds a work group to study the Transportation Trust Fund and state transportation needs, an issue we've previously discussed in the subcommittee about the sustainability of the trust fund. So I would move the amendments.
Second.
Any discussion on the amendments? Okay, all in favor of the amendments, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to the amendments? Great. I would move the bill as amended.
This has got a Hornberger sponsorship on this one.
Well, I mean, this does have some things that the Delegate Hornberger has been advocating for, including the run-through service to
Yes.
to Delaware. So
Yes, I know.
it also has not run-through service, but service out to Western Maryland, something Senator Quarterman and Delegate Cham have been very active on. So
Yes.
it is, even though it says MARC on it, it is bipartisan.
It's good.
Delegate Beitzel, do you have a question? You're on mute, Delegate.
You're on mute.
Delegate Beitzel, you're on mute.
Okay, yeah, I was going to ask a question on the amendment. The amendment provides for to do that study at the Brunswick Trail out that way. Is that amendment has been added to this?
Sorry, the amendment strikes a requirement for 30% design work on a third track on the Brunswick line, which is the rail line that runs from DC up to, it breaks off to Frederick and then Point of Rocks. And it removes that requirement, but puts in a concept study requirement. The driver of the fiscal note was the fact that they didn't even have a concept study yet for that third track. So doing 30% design was going to be very expensive. So we loosened that requirement.
Okay, I'm conflicted a little bit on this because I made notes when we were hearing the bill and then the amendment. So anyway, I gotta make a decision.
I'll move the bill. I'm not sure anybody seconded it yet as amended.
Second.
Any further discussion while we're letting Delegate Beitzel think it through? Okay, all in favor of the bill as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone want to be reported in opposition?
I with you all.
You're with us? All right, it's unanimous. Thank
Hey.
you. Thank you, Delegate Beitzel. And thank you, Delegate Metzger and Delegate Lewis and Delegate Chang and Delegate McIntosh. The next bill is HB 1336. This is the Greater Baltimore Transit Governance and Funding Commission from Delegate Bridges. This bill establishes the Greater Baltimore Transit Governance and Funding Commission to study, review, and make recommendations on specified issues related to transit governance and funding to the Baltimore area transit system. There are some amendments. The amendments change the composition of the commission a little bit by adding some members and also remove DLS's involvement. The commission will be staffed by the Baltimore Metropolitan Council, which is voluntarily participating in doing so. So I would move the amendments.
Second.
All in favor of the amendments, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Question?
Amendments. Let's move
Okay,
the
go
bill
ahead,
as
go
amended and then we can have discussion. Move the bill as amended.
Second.
Second.
Great. Questions on the bill, Delegate Beitzel?
Yeah, is this 1336?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, okay, I'm good, thanks.
All in favor of HB 1336 as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Final bill for today is HB 1055 1055. This is pretty heavily amended. This bill is transportation, student transportation, transit buses, and carpooling is the title from Delegate Smith. Let me just press fast forward and say on this one with the amendments, we will be amending the bill to basically restore the ability of Baltimore City students to use MTA in certain specified hours, a program that existed till last year, free of charge. Even though the program expired last year, MTA has still not been charging the students, but this would continue that program on an ongoing basis once we adopt the amendments. It also, strikes the amendments strike the other provisions of the bill that Delegate Smith had in there about mandatory bus purchases and carpooling and a few other.
That's just how WMATA is for Washington, D.C. Public school.
And ride on from Montgomery County, actually.
Move the amendments.
Second.
Great. On the amendments, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed to the amendments? Okay, the amendments are adopted.
Move the bill as amended.
Second.
Okay,
Delegate Beitzel?
question.
Yes.
I'm jumping from one screen to another and I have some notes on this and I had a question on the amendments.
Yes.
The amendments kind of put this bill in the same posture as it was before it terminates. What,
Yeah.
where are we
Yeah.
at now on the bill as far as in relationship to the way it was before the sunset or whatever time?
Yeah, this essentially brings it back to how it was before the sunset, with one exception being this expands access to include people in the city youth work summer program. But other than that, it's as the program was prior to its sunset.
There was a provision or something in there, I think, where there was going to be an identification card or a card or pass, something issued that the students could use that pass to go basically anywhere through the city outside of even school activities. Is that in the bill or out of the bill, or where's that at?
That is in the bill. They can use the system between the hours of 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. without restriction as to going to and from school.
So it's just 5 a.m. to 8 p.m. It's a restriction on the time so that they can go to school activities during that time. Is that?
Well, they can go to any activity during those times, but it is restricted to those hours. And Ken, feel free to chime in if I'm misstating anything, but that's my understanding.
Yeah, if I may just put me down as a opposed at this point, and I would discuss it with the rest of my caucus members.
Okay, so unless anybody else has any questions, we can go to the vote.
I would just say back to your question, Delegate Corman, what you said about the posture of the bill is correct, and as well as the hours and the smart card transit pass issue. That's all.
Great. I'm like a broken clock. All in favor of the bill as amended, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone
With-
opposed? Delegate Beitzel, anybody else?
With Ken's explanation there and with your explanation, I think I'm just going to join you all with this one on yes vote.
Unanimous.
I'm bringing Chair McIntosh to all our meetings. You all are so well behaved.
I just watch over you.
Incredible. Okay, so that HB 1055 passes with no one in opposition. I believe that is all of our business for today, but keep an eye on your inboxes for further orders from Ken.
I got to go to
And,
Capitol.
With that, thank you all. I believe we are adjourned. And once again, appreciate everyone's participation during the year.
Thank you.
It's been a good session so far.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Great job, Chair.
Yeah, great job.